I've got quite a strong gardening family. I'm the only person who's taken it any degree of professional. I think they think the obsession's got out of hand. They may be right. It's a small paniculata variety, and it's this beautiful lime green. The panicles last for absolutely ages. But the point about this is it's very, very keen. So it had a branch, it fell over. I thought, put down some roots then, shall I? I was talking to Joe Sharman, who lives over in Cambridgeshire and is very much a Mr. Snowdrop. Got in touch and he's like, oh, would you like to have Snowdrop named after you? I was like, would I?
Hello and welcome to episode 68 of Talking Dirty. Over at East Ruston Old Vicarage, I think, sort of lifting his clothing game to a next level because of today's guest, we have Alan Edward Herbert Gray, our happy and even more handsome than usual horticulturalist.
We'll get you over in Cambridgeshire, thought as Maria Sophia Fredrickson, with your fancy Fair Isle hand-knitted jumper. Did you really make that? That is terrific.
I did. It's got a lot of mistakes in, and also I might have kind of overestimated the temperature. I'm really quite warm. So if I start to sort of turn purple with the glee of this podcast...
I didn't realise it was cashmere.
It's an Aran way. It's quite thick.
Oh, right.
Turn the central heating off. Now, the reason I said we've sort of all upped our dressing game for today's podcast is because one of the best dressed men in horticulture is joining us back for a long-awaited return visit to Talking Dirty. It is, let me consult the notes for the middle name, Jimi Edward Blake of the one and only Hunting Brook. Hello.
That's some introduction. Wow.
Well, I think you've actually upped your clothing game. I don't think I've seen that shirt before, and it is fabulous.
Someone sent that to me in the post, and oh god, I'm trying to think. Oh, his name was Declan. And I thought, who is Declan? Is this a blast from the past or something? I didn't know who it was. And a few weeks later, anyway, Declan Buckley, garden designer in London, you might have heard him. He arrived at the door and he said, "I sent you that shirt." He said it didn't fit him after COVID. I shouldn't be saying that on podcast. Anyway, he sent it to me. He got it made in India. So anyway.
With a coordinated hat, no less.
Yeah, very hot in here. It's very mild out. It's just...
Well, it's serving us well on the podcast because there are more plants for us to look at this stage in the year. Yeah. So it's good news for Talking Dirty and for our more tender plants. Yeah. You look like you have been all over the place. You've been in France, you've been doing talks. I think you were in Suffolk the other day, lots of online masterclasses. So it's been a busy year for you, Jimmy.
It's been a busy year in a different way. I haven't traveled much. I went to that plant fair in France and went absolutely mad with suitcases full of cactus and that's my new thing. So it's like been let off a lead to be able to go and buy plants again in another country. It was so exciting. And then to be able to give talks. I haven't given that many. I think I've only given two real in a room with people, and I was definitely over excited at them. It's good.
Have any of your new cacti purchases made it into this room? Because if anyone's listening, we always love it when we can see a bit of the show and tell that's coming up, but you have really outdone yourself. We've got bananas and cacti and salvias just crowding in. You are in the jungle.
Yeah. It was funny. I found a nursery at the plant fair in Chantilly, and he was specialising in hardy cactus. Now, obviously, they're not going to be hardy in winter here, really, unless they're covered, but it was just interesting, and I bought quite a lot off them the first day, and then went back to my Airbnb, and I could not sleep thinking, should I go back and get the rest of them? So I had a full suitcase full of cactus, and I literally just put the pots into the suitcase and put them all up, just crisscross on top of each other, and they came back perfect. So it was such a good idea not to take them out of their pots. And and I think I remember, Alan, my first visit to your place. In do you call it the desert garden?
Yeah, the desert watch.
Yeah. I was thinking about it this morning. There's some gardens you go into and your creativity just explodes. Your mind just explodes. You're so excited with ideas for your own garden. And I remember the first time I stood in that garden, I had that feeling. And it's just that arid planting, and was there agaves and.
There's Agaves, there's Dasylirions, there's Nolinias, there's Opuntias and other cacti, Trichocereus. You know, but I mean, Jimmy, I've done it again, you see. I mean, you grow these things, and especially things like the Opuntia type cacti, because they're great big pads, one on top of the other on top of the other. They get so big. What do you do with them? And I mean, I just stick them in the desert. If they live, they live. If they die, they die.
Yeah, well, I got quite a few Opuntias in France, and they're all downstairs in the kitchen. I don't know if they're going to survive here with our wetter winters, I suppose.
Well, I think the trick, they will stand any amount of cold, because there's Opuntias growing in the botanic garden in the middle of Oxfordshire, and you can't get colder than that. But they are very dry. They're on a rockery, so they're very dry. So I think there's your clue in a way to try and keep the winter wet off them if you can.
Yeah.
And give them sharp, give them really, really sharp drainage.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to trying them, because I have the new sand garden, so I'm hoping to put them in that.
Yeah. What is a sand garden?
It was actually a really wet area outside the house heading into the valley.
Yeah.
And it was just, so annoying. It was kind of a wildish area first, then it was a lawn, then it turned into a meadow. I think it went back to a lawn, then it went back to a meadow. Nothing was working, and I decided to clear the whole thing, and I put in 2 big sand gardens. So we raised up all the beds and put in woodland beds as well in the area, but everything was raised up, so everything was well drained. And the sand garden was really good drained mixture of topsoil and loads of grit, and then 5 inches of sand on top of that. Right. So everything was planted in sand. Yeah.
Actually, that works very well, I think, in areas where you have a high rainfall, because you've got that sand is like a filter, because the water goes straight through that.
Yeah. It was great, because I didn't want to work with the conditions that were there. I didn't want a damp garden. I wanted to grow a new palette of plants, and it's worked really well. As long as I notice anywhere that's kind of going into a bit of shade, it's not working. So as long as it's getting plenty of sun.
That's the main thing. We can't get more sunny than our desert wash. I mean, it is in the highest part of the garden. I mean, we're flat anyway, but it's in the highest part of the garden, and it really has the south. It faces south.
Yeah. I do love gardening is always about experimentation, but I feel like hunting Brook, there's a lot of experimentation. There's a lot of pushing boundaries.
That's just the fun. I really do kind of go through plants, and that whole tropical garden, I'm going to take it all out now. I think I just keep trying to reinvent that kind of tropical look, and I just need to clear the whole area, completely clear it. So I'm in the middle of digging out that whole area at the moment. And I think this morning, as I was going around looking at the foliage plants, so often we clutter foliage plants with other plants, and that we never really see the beautiful shape, like these bananas, Brasiopsis. Like, what about growing bananas where there was nothing around them, and you just saw the beautiful stems of them, and the Scheffleras and all that Araliaceae stuff. This is this morning's idea. I was thinking that whole area would turn into just really, really simple, basically showing off all the foliage plants, but not cluttered with perennials or bulbs or anything like that. So I don't know. That's this morning's idea.
Last week I had a similar idea, Jimmy, because I know how your mind works, you know how mine works, and we're continually churning and thinking and thinking and thinking. And I was getting some stuff in, and I had a grass called Setaria palmifolia. Do you know it?
Yeah. You used to have it. Yeah.
When that's well grown, it really does look like the palm fronds. And it is a fantastic grass, and it's just done so well. I put it, would you believe, in a window box so people couldn't see into my laundry room. But I suddenly thought, what could I do with this? I need to do something else with this. And I thought that if along the front of a border, I could plant it as specimens, because they hold themselves so well. And you could do the same thing with bananas. But I want to carpet my ground underneath. And what could I carpet with? Well, I thought I could use that little trailing Lysimachia, the lime-leaved one in shady area.
Yeah.
I think in sunny areas you could use that Oxalis called Sunset. I mean, I know it's not hardy, but it roots just like
Yeah.
nothing as easy as anything. But I think the carpet of that underneath would look really rather good.
Yeah, actually having a carpet for them to grow out of, where they're really kind of framed and highlighted. I remember seeing a picture with Chanticleer Gardens in America and their teacup garden, which is amazing. But they had, well, I'm going to talk about this banana, the black stem banana, in a few minutes. But they had just these black stem bananas, well spaced, but the planting was really low in the whole garden, and it was so effective. And I don't know, I just stood in my memory. So yeah, I'm getting fed up. I'm getting fed up with Flutter. Look at me. I don't know. I'm going to be 50 in 2 weeks' time, so I'm kind of, maybe I'm just clearing out. I'm in a big clearing out phase of my life, I think.
No, I think you do go through periods where you actually just want to cut back, to minimize everything.
Yeah.
And you know, it will come back. It will come back. You'll get cluttered again. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, I think we're probably all naturally maximalists. So from personal experience, if I ever try to cut back and go minimalist, it never lasts.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, definitely the same.
I do love the idea of you sitting in this room, absolutely crowded in with plants for show and tell, saying, yeah, I'm going to strip everything back. Get rid of the clutter. But yeah, you have alluded to these amazing plants that are surrounding you. So do you want to start with the bananas for your show and tell?
Yeah, why not? There are two bananas that I've grown from seed, and quite easy to grow bananas from seed if you soak the seed for 24 hours. In warm water, and then sow at 30 degrees Celsius. But it's this black stem banana. So you see the black stems on this banana?
Yep.
Wow.
Well, that maybe you know it. It's Atia Black.
No, I don't.
Well, Atia Black, as it grows, the black, it's getting really black halfway up, and then it's getting really silver here.
Yeah.
And nice kind of tinnish leaves. They're not yeah, and there's kind of a bluey sheen off them as well, or grey blue sheen off them. But it's used quite a bit in America, but doesn't seem to be used in this part of the world. And that's only a year and a half old from seed, and it's nearly 6 foot.
Yeah, brilliant.
So it's a fantastic banana. It's just a little bit different than the usual Musa, Basjo, and the other one I grow is this. I just pulled it up here this morning upstairs. Is Manipur. Actually, that leaf isn't great, but without breaking this leaf, I knew this would be fun.
Oh,
stripy.
Yeah.
What's it called, Jimmy?
Manipur. And there's some lovely stripy leaf bananas, but again, that's only a year and a half old as well. It's huge. The other one that I grow, but it was just too big to try and pull up the stairs on my own, and the dogs were getting nervous. They thought I was losing the plot again. Is Bengal tiger. Bengal tiger is really worth getting. It's got really definite stripes on the leaf, dark stripes on the leaves. And there is an exotic plant nursery in England. Not going to think of the name. They sometimes have it. But this Bengal tiger one I got from Plant Delights in America years ago at very large cost, because getting plants over from America is not cheap. But it's definitely worth keeping an eye out for just different bananas. Now the classroom is packed full of the red leaf banana at the moment. I was selling them and I just kept taking them out of the plant sales. So there's about 100 of them in the classroom, packed. And I had to put a dehumidifier in there to stop it was so wet. I was afraid the classroom would fall. But anyway, that's my banana phase. But it's just like, it is worth growing them from seeds because they're very easy, but don't sow them in autumn. I did it. A friend of mine said, I had loads of seed, and he said, oh, just sow it in the autumn. If they die, they die. And if they live, they live. Well, they died. And I had about 70 of them up, like lovely ones, but it's very hard to get them through the winter. So sow them in spring. And it's quite big seeds.
They're like little marbles.
Yeah, they're big seeds, yeah. Yeah. It could have been, there's a website called Rare Palms. I'm sure you know it. Rare Palms. Could have been that website. They have a huge amount of seeds. Will I jump to a few salvias?
Oh,
Get a-
let's
get
have
a
some
colour?
salvias. You have been, I mean, anyone who doesn't follow your Instagram is insane. They need to follow you, and they need to just watch all your videos, because it's an education in wonderful plants, but it's just good for the soul. Your sort of sunrise walks and these beautiful views of, the early morning light going through your garden.
Yeah.
It just makes the whole day better.
I love doing it. It's not doing the Instagram. It's never a chore really. It's I enjoy doing it. It's nice to share it, and I get that sunrise coming through the garden that I'm really lucky to have. I don't particularly get the sunset, but I get a really good sunrise.
And the other day you had a whole handful of amazing salvias.
Yeah. Well, like we've had no frost yet. Like this is well into, or it's into November now, and no frost in Ireland, or where I live, is amazing. But I think the best flower in the whole garden right now is Salvia involucrata Boutin, Boutin.
Oh.
And it is like 10 foot tall. It flowers, starts flowering kind of sometime in August, maybe mid-August, September, October, and it'll go on probably to the end of November. It's hardy.
Ooh.
And it is, if I was only to choose one plant, one salvia to grow in the garden, it'd be this one, because it's a big plant. Like you do need a bit of space for it. But I was always bringing them in, and Salvia man, can't remember his name now. He told me, he said, "Oh no, that's root hardy, so there's no problem leaving that out. So you just cut it back in spring." But a spectacular salvia, and it's got that lovely, it's gorgeous, kind of sweet citrusy scent off it. Easy from cuttings as well. I'll have to do a few cuttings.
I think, Alan would be biting your hand off to get hold of that from the look on his face.
Well, I would, because because I do love very big salvias. I've got a very big hardy blue one, which I think may be called discolor. I'm not sure.
Would it be concolor?
Concolor, yeah, that's the one.
Concolor, yeah.
Concolor. Have you got that?
I don't have it anymore.
You didn't like it?
I know I do. I love it, and I saw it in a garden recently. It flowers incredibly late here, if it actually flowers. But actually, that's probably an old story I'm telling now. I should just try it again.
Well, mine concolor starts flowering probably in July, Jimmy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you should have some of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be an early flowering clone. I don't know.
Might be, yeah.
And the other one that I grow that's just very tall, which I love, is Atrocyanea.
Yeah. I have grown it, and I'm not sure. What height is it?
6-9 feet.
Oh, right. Is it? Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Hardy, big fat tuber under the ground.
Oh, it's hardy as well.
Yeah.
I'm writing notes.
It grows at York Gate in Leeds. You know York Gate?
York Gate, yeah. I haven't been to York Gate, actually.
Oh, you must go sometime. Next time you're here, if you get the chance, go. It's well worth it. But they grow it there, and that's where my cutting came from. And Ben Preston, the head gardener there, I mean, he's become quite a friend of mine, actually.
Yeah, I know Ben, yeah.
He gave me the cutting of it, and when he came down, he said, "Where's that salvia?" And I said, "Here, look." And it was way up there. So and I've got several bits of it in the garden now at the moment. But it flowers from about August onwards.
Right.
And it's still flowering now. But the great thing is it's a blue flower. But to me, it's the calyx that it leaves behind, because as the sort of flowers lengthen, the lime green calyx gets bigger and bigger, just like a great big fat caterpillar up in the sky. It's lovely. I love it.
It is. It's spectacular. I know it. Yeah. I must just check, do I still have it? This one here now doesn't look that spectacular in this light. It's called Ping Pong. And it's the Salvia guy down near Tunbridge Wells, William Dyson.
Yeah.
Because I said to him, I was at one of the plant fairs, and I said to him, "Okay, what should I have?" Salvia. And he said, "You have to grow Salvia Ping Pong." And it's a really big plant. Like, it's a huge big plant for a salvia like this, but it's still in full flower, and it's flowered since early summer, non-stop. It's fantastic. And the other thing is, it's at the end of the sand garden. It's not getting as much light as the rest of the sand garden, and it's doing perfect. So it's definitely worth growing. Ping Pong.
And are those flowers like a really strong pink?
They're a strong pinky red. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
They're,
beautiful.
there's no.
That's on the list.
Quite a lot of salvia FLOMO coming up today.
And the Salvia patens guanajuato.
Yeah.
It's the biggest of the blue salvias of the patens. And it's still in full flower in the sand garden. I chanced it out last year for the winter, and it came back perfectly. But I don't even feel like digging them up yet. The forecast, like, it's a beautiful day today. I couldn't be bothered digging them up yet. Doing the cuttings of them, you need to do them early. If you do them late, if you do them in August, September, they haven't formed a tuber for the winter, and they rot during the winter, like a lot of salvia cuttings. But that is, do you grow that one?
No, I don't, but it's on my list for this year. I saw it somewhere. So it's on my list, and the only person I know that has it at the moment is Derry Watkins, does seed of it. But I don't know whether William Dyson does.
I didn't know it produced. I didn't know it produced seed.
Well, I don't know where she gets the seed from, but she does it.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! Jimmy, you got seed.
We need to talk afterwards. Salvia elegans, Sonoran Red. So Salvia elegans, they're completely hardy. It's like the pineapple sage. Then you have one called Tangerine, which is a beautiful red. But the deepest red of them all is one called Sonoran Red. Beautiful plant, and totally hardy. And I just cut them back in the spring. I think that's really good because it's such an intense red for this time of year.
I remember growing Salvia elegans years and years ago, and it never did come into flower because the autumns were just too short, and then the winter came and it cuts it off. But today we don't have that.
Try it again. So many people say that about this plant, and I always say just give it a go again because there's quite a few different elegans, but I think this one is the best.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a bright red, and there's loads of flowers still to come out on that, so that should go on until December. I think it's really a really good one. What else do I have here?
It's like some sort of salvia treasure trove below the screen.
Oh, here, this one. Salvia curviflora.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
Is that hardy with you?
I haven't tried it out. Have you tried it?
I tried it out last year, left it out against the south-facing wall, and it came back beautifully.
Ah,
but I don't know whether it do it in the open garden. I mean, that was against a wall.
Yeah. Like as the weather gets colder, it gets better.
Yeah,
it does. It's so good at the moment. And like I only dug them up the other day, and they would have been so good still out in the garden if you just knew you weren't going to get a sneaky night of frost. But like they only go into the cold tunnels. They never get heat or anything. Easy from cuttings. Doesn't form seed. Salvia curviflora, and again, it's finding those big salvias that will actually grow in borders and not get cluttered out by everything else. Then again, my new minimalist life is don't have to worry about things like that. What do we say next? Will I go into the woodland a little bit? The Corydalis.
Oh, yes.
So I collect Corydalis. I was giving a talk to a Hardy Plant Society on Zoom. Was it last year? Oh, I get so mixed up. When did Brexit happen? It was the year before. Must have been the year before. And I dropped some hints at those sorts of talks, just in case there's somebody in the audience that we need to be friends. And there was a Corydalis collector. He's a national collection, and he sent me a box of different Corydalis.
That was nice.
Oh, that was the nicest present to get.
Yeah.
So I was like catapulted into collecting Corydalis then. And I'm lucky. It's an easy garden to grow Corydalis to be done. The woodland beds don't dry out. And these new woodland beds is where the Corydalis collection is now. So it's nice fresh soil. It's not been taken over by invasive weeds or anything. So what's still in flower with the Corydalis, Blue Summit. Blue Summit. It's a beautiful blue. It's gone a little bit lighter now, but it's the fact that it flowers non-stop from spring right through into winter.
And it looks quite woody, Jimmy.
Yeah, it is. It's a good strong plant because there's so many of these blue ones, and they're not they're not all good doers. They don't bulk up as well, but this one really bulks up. Calicosa is another one that like really spreads crazy. Well, crazy. It spreads a lot. The corn's purple. Porcelain blue is another beautiful one. Still flowering in the garden. Porcelain blue. Oh, you'd love porcelain blue. It's a beautiful color. But I think the thing with Corydalis is definitely is watching them during the summer that soil doesn't get too dry.
Yeah.
And if it gets too dry, they're going to go dormant and they'll eventually just disappear. So plenty of compost on them and easy from division. But I think one of the most exciting ones that this man sent me was this, and I know very little about it. And it's flowering non-stop since spring. It's called Corydalis terracina. It's one of the most beautiful plants in the garden here, I think. Now, looking at it here, it might just look like a weedy kind of Corydalis. But these yellow little tubular flowers, they've kind of an apricot pink on the ends of them. And it's flowering since springtime, like looking completely perfect still. And it has this lovely leaf like a fern nearly.
Oh, yeah. Good.
And it's tall. It's about 3 foot tall. I haven't propagated it yet. I always get nervous when I have something really special that when you Google it, you can't find any information. So I imagine I'll be able to divide it, but it's just in full flower. I don't want to divide it yet. But it's worth, if you can ever get it, it's just a fantastic. Because I think anything in a woodland garden or a shady garden that will actually extend the seasons is a really important plant. And that's what this is doing. And then it's surrounded by the snowdrop collection. I went crazy with snowdrops last winter. And I think since I talked to you last, I became completely obsessed. And I'm so excited because I haven't seen a lot of the new ones. So it actually makes me excited for January, which is really unusual for me to be excited in Ireland in January.
Well, that might be one of the best things about getting into snowdrops. And I'm speaking from, I won't allow myself to get into them because I don't feel like I have the area to really look after them, and they'll be precious and they'll probably cost quite a lot of money. So I'm not allowing myself to go down that slippery slope, but it is the best thing that come the darkest, dankest, nastiest months, there are all these exciting things appearing.
It is, and there's a lovely community then, and
yeah,
it's that time of year. I think snowdrops are really important for your mental health. I think you can't underestimate them. I mean, I really want to get the woodland beds cleaned now so that they're nice and clean, ready for the snowdrops to start peeping. Because I'm sure I bought early flowered ones. I can't even remember because there's so many out there now. But it is that anticipation, isn't it? And then meeting the other crazy snowdrop people.
Well, anybody who hasn't met any crazy snowdrop people, if you head back, I'll link to it in the video. Head back to our Galanthophylle special with Val Bourne and Brian Ellis, showing us some of their favourites in snowdrop season.
I saw
earlier.
that one. It's excellent. Yeah, I must go back and look at it because I've started buying more.
How many do you think you have now?
I don't know. I haven't counted. I'm not going to either. Because I just.
Funny thing is, Jimmy, you'll be surprised because we all are, I think, because when Joe Sharman asked me if I'd host a snowdrop day here, I said, I haven't got enough different varieties of snowdrop in the garden, Joe. I can't because, that it would be a con to get people to come and try and look at my snowdrops. So he went around the garden with me and he said, I'm up to 170 now.
Oh, gosh. Well, I was asked to open for a Dutch tour on the 10th of February. I thought, the thoughts of having the garden tidy for the 10th of February. But anyway, I have committed to it, and I'm also going to, now this is really committing now when I say it on this, I'm going to open probably the third week in February for snowdrops. But
you got to try it. I mean, as you touched on something a little while ago, and you said it's so nice to share it with everyone. And that is the point. And I think, and we mentioned a little bit about mental well-being and all that kind of thing. Well, a garden is the place to heal yourself. So,
absolutely.
Don't worry about it if there's a little bit of mess, or something's not tidied up. I mean, it's real. It's real life. It's a real garden.
Yeah, it's so true. And at that time of year, it'll be different than opening in the summer. It's different, when when you meet the snowdrop, it is a different thing at that time of year. Yeah, it nourishes you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm excited. So pulmonarias. This one,
look at the size of those leaves, man.
fabulous, I'd say. This one is called Stealing Fleeced Meg.
Yeah.
And I just love the markings on the leaves. I think whatever it's called, blotches of silver, whatever they're called. But this is just gorgeous. And I've divided and I've kind of repeated in the woodland, one of the new woodland beds. And I just think there's some very choice pulmonarias out there. And they're really good early interest. They're great early nectar for the bees. And the very ordinary one, the red one called Red Start.
Yeah.
It's really good early nectar for bees. And it starts flowering here in January. You just have to watch that they're not too big, like if you're growing snowdrops and special things around, that they're not kind of spreading out on top, too much on top of those sort of plants. But this is worth keeping an eye out for, stealing Fleet Meg.
Jimmy, have you ever thought of oversowing some of your woodland beds?
Oversowing?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I was at a talk with Tom Stewart Smith the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And he was describing how he'd planted an area called Arcadia in Derbyshire at Chatsworth House.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We oversowed some of the large perennial plantings that we did with plants like seed like primroses and cowslips. And he said the primroses came up so well, they were like whopping great cabbages sitting on the ground. But he said normally do it in the second year, but because of the time they'd taken to do it, they had to do it the first year after planting. And I just never heard of that before. And I just wanted to do that.
No. And like what, would they have other plants there as well, or bulbs?
Yeah, they did it with, where the soil was moist, they oversowed with various primulas. But they had great drifts of perennials that they planted. Like 300 heucheras or something, which they oversow with something else.
Okay, interesting.
I just sort of thought this is food for thought, isn't it?
Definitely, because with any of those woodland beds, it's so important to kind of get the ground covered, because that, for me anyway, they get very weedy very quickly.
Exactly.
You kind of forget about them in summer, and that's when the weeds spread in them. The next project, it's not going to happen this year, but there's still some lawn left heading into the valley or down the bottom of the garden. And it's quite a big area, but I'm going to turn it all into woodland beds so that I have huge woodland beds. And I want, one of the things that is a real passion is woodland plants and early spring flowering plants. And rather than just having a good few big beds, I want to have loads. And I want to grow old collecting those plants. So
you should also grow old writing about them, Jimmy, because your experience of woodland gardening is almost second to none, I think. And you are so interested in rarities that if people knew more about them, they probably wouldn't be so rare, because they become more widely known. And I think the other thing I noticed from you is that, when you just said it today, it's so important with Corydalis, still blooming into November, will be blooming in December if the weather's not too cruel. That's so important.
Yeah. And just really identifying those, like there, I probably have 70 different Corydalis, but just identifying what are the best 3 out of that.
Yeah,
that should be in the trade and should be growing more, and how to grow them, where to grow them.
Yeah. Business opportunity for you, Jim.
I know. I swear I'm not going to write next year. I've just finished Gardens Illustrated, and of which it was lovely to write it.
It was lovely to read it, Jimmy. I tell you, first every time I thought, God, where does this man find this stuff from?
It was such a lovely article to write. Actually, it was the perfect one. But it'd be nice now not to write anything next year. So this is a massive magnolia, and it's down in the valley. Now, it's a very long name. It's a cross, so it's Magnolia Macrophylla, subspecies Atii, cross Magnolia, subspecies delbata.
I'm looking forward to putting that one on the screen.
Because I actually took a picture of the label in Wisley on Saturday morning, so that I was definitely sure of the name. But it is enormous. It's enormous. and it's silver underneath. It's the largest leaf of the magnolias, and I have a bit of a collection of large leaf magnolias in the valley, and it's so nice that they're actually turning into trees now, and they're only in a few years, but God, the excitement yesterday when I went down there, grumpy as hell, and looked up, and I just saw the autumn color on some of the delbata. Yeah, it would be delbata maybe, and a few other ones, that triloba. But this is the best one. I got this in Pan Global Plants a few years ago, but it has these massive flowers sporadically in the summer, and huge flowers, and you can miss them because they only last a day. So in the morning, if I'm walking down there, I've only seen them twice. They'll start to open in the morning, but by afternoon, I remember last year I went down with the camera to photograph it. It was completely open and full of, oh my God, so many insects in there having a party. A beautiful scent off it, but it's definitely one worth, if you're able to get it. It's spectacular leaf, and to have those silver leaves. And what's lovely at the moment is the odd one is just falling off. It's eventually deciduous. They'll be lost by December probably, and they lie on the path, and it's just so lovely. Sometimes I just go for a walk to look at leaves and look at the undersides of leaves. It's a very relaxing thing to do, rather than blowing the leaves off the path. These leaves look lovely sitting on the top of beach leaves.
Oh.
So that's that one. What else? I have a lovely hydrangea here. And this one here it's got huge leaves, and it's called Aspera Cookie. Koki, Cookie. And I got it from a Japanese nursery that sends plants to Ireland, but it's spectacular. And I think it's a better one than is there one called chocolate something?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yeah.
I think this has got just more vibrancy to it. Like, it's a really wine color, huge leaves. Hasn't actually flowered for me, but it doesn't really matter because it's such a good foliage plant. It's spectacular. Now, it's one of those plants I've got to do cuttings of. So again, I definitely need to propagate that one because I've never seen it anywhere.
No.
Definitely worth growing. And it's interesting to see, like, none of these aspers are doing that well in the valley, because we're getting drier, and the banks of the valley they're really getting drier, very dry in summer. And this is in one of the new woodland beds, and it's lovely rich soil, and it looks really happy. But just shows me, important to get them into decent soil at the start when they're young anyway. They just don't look well down the valley. They're kind of tattered and sickly looking. Now this really spiky plant here is it's a xanthoxylon. And
what?
It's xanthoxylon. And it flowers for months, but the flowers are on the stems. You see those red flowers on the stems? Very good for insect life. Some of the xanthoxylons are really spectacular, but the trunk on this now it has these huge big horns on it. I love really vicious plants. And this is really vicious. The back of the leaves, they all have a little thorn. You go to have a sniff and you get caught in the nose. These kind of hooks that pull you in. And it's perfect plant to plant on the edge of the path to the public. Definitely not a very safe one. But it's just that it flowers, and having it near the path, actually, I get to see the flowers. And it's in full flower at the moment. I mean, it wouldn't be like winning awards for its floral exuberance or anything, but I think it's really nice. And I like that sort of leaf. I've a real fondness for that sort of leaf. And also you can prune these sort of plants and let light in, and they don't have big, the light gets through them. So that's definitely one worth keeping an eye out for. Tidy up my house here. Oh, it's spiky. Well, like this acer. Now, I've done a lot of posts on Instagram about it. It is just unbelievable. It's just Acer Ozakazuki, but there's a really big one out in the garden that I got when I came here as quite a big plant, and it was such a good investment because it's it is the best plant for color. and it's just happening over the last few weeks. And I don't know, it's been a real every day I kind of get up to look at it. I've had a tough few weeks. My mum went into a nursing home only 2 weeks ago, and it's funny, this plant it's like I've gone through the journey of the last few weeks, and this plant has been changing color each day, and there's been just something about it every day. Like my mum is starting to settle a little bit now, and every day I look out at the plant and it's getting redder and redder and redder. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's been such a part of the last few weeks, this tree, and today it's at its best. I think it's like massive red, very ordinary acer, easy to get. But that there's nothing wrong with ordinary as long as it's a good plant.
No, we've got one called October Glory.
October Glory, okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, she's a little bit of a liar because she doesn't colour up until November.
I must keep an eye out for it. I don't know.
Like you, we bought a large one as an investment.
Yeah,
and it's well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. The best plant for berries at the moment in the garden is the Viburnum betulifolium.
Yeah,
it is
that's
unbelievable. We collected this in China, but the thing is, you need to have a few of them to get the berries. And there's only a friend of mine came for lunch yesterday, and he was looking at it. He's like, "Why is my one so poor? It only has a few berries." And I was like, "Well, how many do you have?" And he said, "One." I said, "You get very few berries if you only have one." It is the best plant for berries, I think. Like it's 19 years old now. It's down near the car park, but we've trained it into kind of a weeping multi-stem shrub. And when these are hanging off, it's just gorgeous. And the berries last until spring as well. They look so edible there.
They do. They look like you could wear them. They're so like glistening and like something that you would just have as jewelry.
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm always thinking of earrings. Even though
Yes.
my Christmas Day earrings.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do this.
It's quite the look. Goes well with the shirt as well.
Goes well with the shirt, yeah. Go well in the village. So that's the viburnum. Like, I mean, again, there's loads of plants that are okay for berries here. But again, it's identifying what's the very best for berries, and maybe getting rid of other plants that just you're trying to grow them for berries and they're not producing enough. The phytolacca. See that?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a story to that, Jimmy. Well, Thunder, you see, Thordy, she bought one, and then she was worried that she didn't have enough room for it, so she gave it to me. I think I bought it, actually, didn't I?
Well, yeah, I was buying it, and then you bought it instead. Also, I don't really have anywhere to protect it. I didn't want to kill it over the winter, so you had it instead. I
don't know whether yours is hardy, Jimmy, is it?
Well, I haven't left them out, but like this one, I'm going to leave this one out because I brought in a few, and it's huge and it's in full flower and berry still.
Yeah. Well, mine is still outside, and I'm waiting to see whether we can get any seed from it. I don't know whether we will, but if I get frost, I'm going to cut it up and make cuttings.
Yes, they grow from cuttings. Like if you look at it, do you have berries like that on it now?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, well then I would collect them because or wait even a few more weeks until they go a little bit darker. But like they're very easy to grow from seed in the spring. What do you call this one?
Phytolacca boom.
Lacca boom. Yeah, like I bought this one as Phytolacca isosandra. I always say I saw Sandra to remember the name. But so I don't know if it's different. Like it looks fairly similar.
Yours looks infinitely larger than mine, I have to say.
Yeah. As I swiftly move on to the next match. And I probably did this the last time I spoke to you. The Cordyline Indivisa.
I don't think we did.
Oh, I'm so envious.
Oh, good.
I've got one plant. I mean, I had about 7 seedlings, and they just died one after the other, and I've got one plant. And I want to try it in sheltered woodland, which is what I think they like. But I don't know whether I dare put it out yet, or whether I'll probably wait till the spring now anyway.
Wait till the spring, but they've been totally hardy with me. Totally hardy. I have a really big cordyline behind one of the bamboos, and it's in a lot of shade.
Yeah.
The leaf on it. And that's a really cool leaf on it. Look at that leaf. That's
fabulous.
It's growing beside Lindra triloba. But they're the sort of plant that either likes you or doesn't like you. And they can just suddenly kick up their heels and die.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I think they like the climate here. They're getting big. I planted a good few in the valley a few years ago, but a tree fell and squashed 3 of them and killed them. But I have 2 really big ones down the valley. But then we've young ones coming on that were planted a year ago, right through it. So they're kind of a team plant going through the valley with Scheffleras and big leaf magnolias. But I would say to anyone, just try it. But I suppose where it's doing well for me is well drained, sheltered, semi-shade. But I know one of mine just turned yellow in the middle of the summer this year. I thought, oh God, please don't let this happen to the others, because it can just happen. I remember there was a really big one in the garden a few years ago, just turned yellow in the summer and died. But it is the most beautiful cordyline in Devisa, and it's got these lovely pink or orange midrib. It's spectacular. Now I have a seed tray full of them, loads of seedlings. I'm so nervous that I didn't prick them out this summer. I should have probably pricked out some of them at least. So hopefully they last through the winter, because there's a few hundred in it. I thought, oh God. So, what else do I have? Oh yeah, the cactus.
Is that significant in any way, Jimmy?
You know what? It was one of the customers in the garden this summer pointed this one out to me. I had never noticed its appearance before. But anyway, it's I use these a lot. You can see them here as well.
Oh,
Cactus straussii, and I get them in a local garden centre. Well, I got them off Cactus Man first, but the local garden centre sell them as little plants.
Yeah,
€2 or something they were, and they grow really quickly. But I use them planted out in the garden in the summer. And I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, because I even got the comment the other day, oh, I don't like what you're doing with cactus. And straight away, I kind of got a little bit defensive. I was like, I don't care whether you like it.
Good for you. Do you know whose garden this is? May I remind you, it's mine and not yours.
That's a bit of fun with them. I mean, they're definitely, and what they do, they like to be out for the summer. They don't mind a wet summer. They're from high up in Argentina and Bolivia. So they really, really do in our climate. And then I bring them in and I do all these different pots of them in the house. Or I did a big cattle trough up here in the kitchen last year. So I get to enjoy them every month of the year. And I just think they're a great plant. Chrysocactus straussii. So yeah, they're a bit of fun.
And we were talking about the light in your garden. There are some wonderful sort of shots and videos, the light catching those little needles.
Because like any of those verticals, you think of any spires in the garden, Sangosorbas, Actias, they're all the plants that really light up like candles nearly in sunrise or sunset. So the more spires, and a spire like that is lighting up already. And then when you put the sun on it, they're fantastic at sunrise. Nobody really sees them at sunrise except me and the dogs. But and my videos on Instagram. What else do I have here?
What I love is as the year goes on, I feel like the guests' show and tell gets better and better. I feel like there's more in every video. It's fantastic.
Well, I was thinking, God, I'm going to do it in the summer when there was loads of colour, but actually it was there. You know, there's always something, isn't there? This is the new Schefflera. It's Schwilliensis, and it's a cutting. And it's very like Schefflera taiwaniana, but it has the leaves kind of curve downwards. So you get this beautiful kind of structure to it. And they can be quite shiny, the leaves as well. This is a cutting, and it's only about, if it's even 2 years old.
Good.
That's all. That nearly looks like all of this year's growth. They've grown huge in the valley this year.
What did you do with that? What will you do with that in the winter?
So basically what I do with the Scheffleras is, for the first few years, I do bring them into the glasshouse or the tunnel. So they're out in the planting, that maybe exotic planting, or they're woven through perennial planting or cactus or whatever. And then probably in their 3rd year, they're put down in the valley.
Yeah.
So this one, I have one big plant of this, and it's just gone out for its 1st year. But I wanted to be sure to have one propagated in case it died. But once, like we always have to think, once the wood hardens on plants like this, anything that's a little bit borderline, what happens with Araliaceae as well is they put on late growth that's quite soft heading into winter, and especially those young plants, that's quite soft still. So I just leave that in the tunnel. I mean, I suppose I have the luxury of doing that. I have somewhere to bring them in, but all those cuttings now are done in pure sand, the Scheffleras, and they are really good. We had a batch. Ross, one of the volunteers, did. You won't be impressed me telling you this. He did a batch of Schefflera cuttings, and they all died. And we were like, okay, let's try and learn what happened here. Something happened, and we think he compacted the sand too much. He said he pushed it down. I said no, I don't even push the sand down. So we think that's what it was. Maybe don't compact the sand, and don't keep it too wet as well. You have to remember, sand actually keeps moisture. Yeah. So you tend to think you overwater when you're doing cuttings in sand. It's not like perlite. That's Schwilliensis.
Looks like it's got a lovely stem colour, that.
Oh, look at your daddy. Yes, it's got a gorgeous stem colour, actually. Yeah. This is a lovely Buddleia. I want to see the mess of my house.
Hey.
This is Buddleia speciosima. And Buddleia speciosima is silver. It's got narrow leaves. But what's beautiful about it is it has long orange tubular flowers.
I just got it.
You just got it.
I got it from Pan Global this year.
That's where I got it. That's gas.
There are two forms of it. I got one of each to try. One has flowered and one hasn't yet. They're in the greenhouse at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what you did with your Schefflera. I'm going to take cuttings before I put them out. So I've got an air and a spare.
Absolutely. They're very easy to do cuttings from. But the flowers, aren't the flowers gorgeous on them?
Yes, they are. Fantastic.
It's from Brazil, so I'm not sure how hard it'd be, but sometimes you just don't care. You just have to have it. It's doing well. I'm sure it's going to form seed. But again, I did the cuttings in the pure sand. See, this year, because we recorded a lot of online courses in the garden, but for the last year, Adi, my friend, followed me doing propagation for a year in the garden. So that's spurred me on to try so many plants, to propagate them. So if anyone would like to do the propagation course on my website, at your leisure, over a year.
Excellent seamless plug, Jimmy. I'm very impressed.
I know.
That is the sort of thing that we want courses in. I mean, we've obviously over on our channel, we've tried to do little bits and bobs to help people if they want to propagate things, but to really get stuck down to the nitty gritty of propagation, in the end, it's what all like real gardeners are most excited about. And there are lots of tips and tricks, and it's lovely to be able to share them. It's a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, no, I've always loved propagation. It's the way to learn about plants, isn't it?
When I started seriously getting into propagation, Christopher Lloyd was my great mentor. And you know, the early books, The Adventurous Gardener and whatever the other one was.
Yeah.
He used to describe how he could, you know, propagate plants, something as simple as lavender, shall we say, to other slightly more difficult things. So it's I'm going to do this, Jimmy. I'm going to come on the course with you.
Oh my God, it's probably 2 days ago. Oh yeah. This here looks a bit like a Polonian, but it's got this beautiful, now this this is bronzy usually in the summer. Huge leaves. It's Podocanium immensis. It's a real Mike, Clifford. Oh my God. I got to meet Mike. I was in Desert to Jungle Plants a few weeks ago, and when I arrived, whatever his name is that owns it, said to me, "Oh, Mike is here." It's like, "Oh my God!" So I think Mike's just the best. But anyway, this is a real Mike plant, Podocanium immensis. It's the giant daisy tree, and nice smell off the leaves actually. But it's like Polonia, but really soft leaves. But what it's the new growth is kind of a bronzy color, which is gorgeous, and it can be colored. Well, it is a bit tender, all right. But I saw these grown in Mount Stewart Gardens in the north, and they have massive big leaves. So if you're really looking for that tropical effect, and I just love that name, the giant daisy tree. So many of those kind of cool big, like the dandelion tree, the chrysanthemum tree that I grow, a lot of those Central American cloud forest plants, really, really interesting. So yeah, that's that one. It doesn't like being in here, it's too warm for it, I'd say, the heat. What else do I have here? A lovely hardy shrub here, gorgeous color, and it's got a really lovely mix of yellow and green and slight bit of red, and it's Viburnum wrightii. And I always think there's so many good viburnums, good plants that just do their thing without any fuss. And I was looking at it yesterday. There's a few berries on it. I said, aha, I need a few more of them. So a friend was here, and we were planning a trip to, there's an amazing nursery, a wholesale nursery in the Midlands of Ireland called Ravensburg. And it's only wholesale. They're fairly, but they sell to a lot of the garden centres, and it's a lot of plants that you see in Pan Global Plants. So we're going on a road trip next week.
Now that's a birthday present. That's a way to celebrate a big birthday.
The impatiens. You see the impatiens on the back of the leaves.
Which one is that?
It's balsinae. Somebody told me it's balsinae, and I meant to Google it before I started this to see was that definitely correct. But it doesn't actually flower with me, but it has these amazing leaves. And I don't know how hardy, it's probably quite hardy. But isn't that just beautiful, the back of those leaves? It's a really handsome plant. It's about 4 foot high. But I think a very good, it'd be great in your planting, Alan, planting out even just for the summer.
Exactly.
It's spectacular. I don't know what sort of flower it has because I've never seen the flower. But there's so many good impatiens. And quite a few of them now I've left out. And it's amazing how hardy they actually are. Surprised me. So I have the lovely, and I might have mentioned it the last time I was on with you, the Oreopanax. Habitatus. Lucky I live with 2 dogs. I love anyone that comes into my life over the next few years. This Oreopanax habitatus. This is like a giant ivy. Massive leaves and shiny.
It's so shiny.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And this is cutting as well. A lot of those Araliaceae do really well from cuttings. You wouldn't expect it. It's got big leaves. And what I do with cuttings now is actually on a lot of the leaf. So I don't do any of that taking off leaves and chopping leaves in half or pinching out cuttings. I'm doing cuttings very differently now. I'm trying to get more photosynthesis happening with cuttings rather than stopping transpiration.
Yeah.
And it's working with these. I think, a big leaf like this needs the light on it to make them produce roots, and really trying to avoid pinching out cuttings as well. That's my thing at the moment anyway. But Oreopanax capitatus is probably Central America as well. Big tree. but it's planted out. Mostly I have a good few Oreopanax. They are tender. They're worth it.
It reminds me a little bit of Pseudopanax latus.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of Pseudopanax latus here, and down through the valley, I've crown lifted them, lifted the crowns, and they're other. It's one of the best evergreens.
But they're really huge plants, Jimmy, aren't they?
Huge. Yeah, and very easy from cuttings as well.
Yeah.
Leave on their leaves, and this Oreopanax, it's just like a giant ivy, really. And they're very tempting, those Oreopanax. They all look so beautiful, and a lot of them have really lovely new growth as well. The opposites. Brasiopsis.
Oh.
And this Brasiopsis is called Hispida. And in here, spiky. You didn't even know the spiky. You see there? The new growth. It's kind of a golden brown. But some of them have purple new growth. There's some great Brasiopsis. And again, I have one called Brasiopsis Nicola. I got it from Crook Farm Nurseries, and it came as kind of quite a leggy plant, but it's really easy from cutting. So I have quite a few of them now, but they have those spectacular leaves. And you have Brasiopsis mitis, which is just one of the most spectacular foliage plants you can grow. And just for planting out, I think that new garden, the more I talk to you today, that new garden should be just about space for these foliage plants to show off. Yeah.
I'm excited that when I ever actually get to set foot in your garden, I
hope you're not disappointed. It's a bit of a bomb site a lot of the time, but anyway.
I like that. I mean, not believing it really is, but I very much go for the informal and the slightly crazy. Yeah. That's my scene anyway.
You know, Jimmy, we were talking the other day, thought that if you go to a garden and it's too tidy, it upsets you. You feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah. I
mean, that what's the garden in Canada that everyone raves about?
Oh, Bouchard.
That's right, Bouchard Garden. I would hate it.
I was brought to it when I was given a lecture over there.
And?
Not my sort. Not my sort. Yeah. I wasn't that far from you the other day, Alan, and I had to come home. I was at the East Anglia Garden Club giving a lecture.
What, down near Hadley and Suffolk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not
I was there on Tuesday.
All right. I was there Saturday. I'll have to get over to you next year.
Yeah. Well, we all need to get over to you. You need to go to Alan's. We need to get to you. I need to see your garden in the flesh. I hope when I do get to see your garden that I get to see some of these ideas that are all kind of brewing at the moment.
Yeah.
I get to see them.
Do a road trip with the podcast.
That's the dream. Have we finally exhausted your
I think so.
Well, what a lovely I wish we could have videoed the time lapse of you getting those plants together and lugging the bananas up the stairs and things. That would
because I only had 30 minutes to do it because I was in here relaxed and having my breakfast, oh my god, time. But anyway.
Well, it's been wonderful. As is often the case at the end of one of these podcasts, I think probably everybody now has an entire page of FLOMO, if not more, like an entire notebook of FLOMO. I came into it with quite a lot of FLOMO from just your Instagram and also your book, because I got gifted your beautiful book. So I've been diving into this, which is great.
What's it called?
It's A Beautiful Obsession. What I love is how alongside the beautiful pictures and the writing, you just have those pages where you'll sum up long flowering or great foliage or whatever, just those pages that you can really look at and go, yes, these are the top plants. It's like you were saying, what are the top ones? And incidentally, if no one's ever encountered FLOMO on this podcast before, it is a feeling we all know about having fear of missing out about a plant. So the combination of this and your Instagram, you talked a lot about things that flower for a long time, like with your salvias today. So there's the Astrantia major, is it Boan?
Boan, yeah.
Which you said flowers for 7 months. My Astrantia does not sort of perform for 7 months in my garden. So I think that
as long as they're sterile and it's not too dry. That's them.
And Linaria peachy, which you said months, like 5 months. I've done Linarias before, but not that particular one. And Salvia, you didn't bring this one along today, but is it Stachytifolia?
Oh, it's so good. It's still in full flower, actually. Beautiful. There's 2 forms, a dark blue and a light blue. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I've only just started getting into big salvias in my little garden, so I can't have too many, but
yeah, and it's hardy.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's definitely flown
that's
up
your ones.
Well, they're flown up my wish list. Where are you at with your FLOMO, Jimmy?
I'm when I went to desert to jungle plants, there was this amazing bamboo with blue stems. It's a Berinda papifera, but I think it's one called Yunnan 1. It's enormous, but like really thick. Bring up the bamboo here. I don't know. But you know that feeling where you're like, just please stick me up a piece and I'll smuggle it back to Ireland. I keep thinking about that bamboo since. What else? A tree that I'm sure it's available, but anytime I spot it is Prunus rufa. That's very like Prunus cerula, but gorgeous kind of that color bark with peeling bark. Indigofera atropurpurea. I saw it on Pan Global's Instagram page recently. I would nearly have just flown over for that. Gorgeous, deep purple flowers. 2 more. Melianthus major, Anton's blue.
Oh.
It's just a beautiful Melianthus. Really spectacular foliage. Got a blueness off the leaves. There's a big plant in Wisley. I have seen it in America. And then the other one is Nyphophia Oxford Blue. And I was just hoping Alan would put up his head and say, I have that one. No.
Oxford Blue?
Yeah.
Glaucous foliage.
It's got glaucous foliage and beautiful kind of orange flower, orangey red flower. I can't remember the flower. It's a spectacular one. And I think they have one in Wisley, or they have a bunch of it in Wisley. And I know John Grimshaw, he grows it in his garden, but I don't know anyone else with it. So it's just one of those plants I just keep thinking about. And I said hello to it in Wisley the other day. It's like, you need to come to Ireland. So that's mine.
That is a great collection. I also love this. I get this sort of real feeling of you just sort of doing your gardening or laying in bed and just having reverie about the plants that, that you wish you were adding to Hunting Brook.
I know. That's why I sleep badly.
Right then, Alan.
Well, I want all of them, but I'm just going to say that, Jimmy, you're an inspiration. You really are, because, you know, I'm thinking the kind of way that you're thinking. And I think probably what it is, as much as anything, is trying to bring new interest, new plants into your garden the whole time, trying to make it more interesting. If there is a special salvia, I want just that one. If there's a special acer, I want just that one. And, you know, not saying too much that's silly, but we always learn something when we're talking to gardeners, don't we? And I've learned today that Viburnum wrightii and Viburnum betulifolium berry much better if they're in groups.
Yeah.
I've got betulifolium in it as a singleton, but I've got another one in a pot, so it's going right next to it.
Yeah. It's great when you just suddenly find, I remember hearing that like years ago, and it's like,
yeah, exactly. There it is. So my FLOMO, I mean, it extends to all the things that I've written. I've written 2 pages. It's a record for me. 2 full pages. And there's my scribbles. Can you see them?
There's not even 2 pages of massive writing. That's fitted them in.
Well, I mean, you know, I have to say, but I mean, Jimmy was firing plants at us, so it's hard to keep up sometimes with the names. But no, it's fantastic. Well done.
Aren't we so lucky we're in this world of, there's an endless amount of plants, and there's, you know, and people to talk to about it and share plants with. We really are very lucky to be in this world of this type of horticulture.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have people that go out and find these plants, like Bledin and Sue, and all the other people that go off and collect and exchange seeds and all the rest of it.
And it's, a lot of these guys have had, because of COVID, they haven't been able to collect for the last 2 years. So I often think, there's quite a lot of plants probably lost to cultivation during this time of COVID. So it's really important that these guys get going again. And they do amazing work. They have small little nurseries. It's not a big money thing. They're getting these plants out into gardens. There's a lot of plants here from northern Vietnam now, from Mount Fancypan, that are hardy. But like if the guys that went collecting there didn't get them out, if they were stuck in some botanic gardens where they weren't shared, they're in more danger of being lost. I think it's just so important to share plants, get them out there, and propagate them. That feeling of only having one of a really rare plant, get it propagated and share it.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
If people are feeling overwhelmed by their FLOMO and they didn't manage to write all the plants down, remember the full plant list is in the show notes on both the audio and the video podcast. And we put all our plant lists on our website now. So you just go to the plant list page and you can save the JPEG or take a screenshot on Instagram or wherever. We don't want you to be left wondering what one of those plants was if you're dreaming of it like Jimmy does. Like, I want it in my garden. Hopefully, maybe we can get you back in snowdrop season, Jimmy.
Woo! No pressure.
I want to meet some of these new additions to Hunting Brook.
Snowdrops, and it's starting to collect the Aranthus as well. Kind of anything that flowers with snowdrop. Oh, I'm also collecting arums, different arums. I know they're a bit spreaders, but they're. It's lovely that a plant is actually coming up out of the ground now. Anyway, that's another plant I'm starting to collect.
Well, till the next time, when we'll expect probably even more bountiful show and tell. You've outperformed yourself from last time. It has been an absolute treat. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. But
thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, Jimmy. All the best. Nice to see you.
Is there an elephant present?
All aboard for the Princess Board.
Morning. My big puffy eyes today. I had the strangest night's sleep. I woke up with a big sneezing fit in the middle of the night, which has never happened before. I can't say I'm illegal on this podcast.
Yours looks infinitely larger than mine, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. As I swiftly move on to the next match.